Hello, everybody. Larry Young here again with another segment of OlaMan Living Life with Purity. And Alex is still back in the studio with me here, and we're going to continue our discussion. In our last segment, if many of you were watching and following along in order, Alex gave us a rundown on the comparisons between the mystical city of God and the poem of the man God by Maria Valtorta. And we're going to add another layer to the onion here with this book here called The Trump Prophecies by a good Protestant fellow, I believe he is, Mark Taylor. Now, Mark Taylor is a very contemporary voice in things here, but it's very uncanny that a man who grew up Protestant is having prophecies, or he's looking at determined prophecies and having his own inspirations on things that are anything but, I would say, Protestant in their view. But I think that they're very interesting in the fact that they're coming from this side of, let's call it an argument or a discussion point, but it is in, compatible with the things that we've been talking about. So I just think it's interesting. But Alex, this is what you do. You come up with stuff. You go out in the forest, and he comes back, hey, look at this. It's a mushroom. Can we eat it? I think we can. Type of stuff. It's
Larry doesn't normally.
Look what I found.
Larry's very, very skeptical. I mean, he opens
most everything.
Well, and he normally brings stuff, and he'll go, that resonates pretty real. And so he has a way, his discernment is very acute. And so when I bring these things, he listens to them. But all of a sudden, these things are converging. Lieutenant Mark Taylor, in 2010 and 11, he was a firefighter in Orlando, Florida, because they have the Disney world down there. They would see $45,000 accidents, 45,000 accidents a year. It's a very high stress position that these firefighters are in as they go onto the scene.
Oh, automobile accidents, or just
Disney just
45,000 calls.
That's right.
That they would have, not accidents. Okay.
I'm sorry. And
the service call by a fire department. Anytime the truck leaves the station house.
That's right.
That's called a service run.
And there's a lot of them. And and after 20 years, he was exhausted because they would go on the scene of an accident and the children and all the rest of it. And he said, well, of course, he had to be professional, because if you let it affect him,
you can't get anything done.
You can't get anything done. But
imagine these guys. I'm going to break wind right, not breaking wind, but breaking from the story. The D.C. plane crash.
Yeah.
Retrieving those bodies.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're bringing up pieces parts.
Yeah.
Imagine being one of those divers.
You're right.
What a life that is, going down and trying to retrieve, dismembered body parts all over the floor of the river. It just, people don't understand.
Yeah, and when they retire, like with Mark Taylor, that all comes down on them.
Oh yeah.
And
we got time to think about it now.
Mark was saying that he got so sick that he wanted to die, and he went to see a physician, and they finally kind of squared him away. It took 2 years. He was so sick, it took 2 years. And during that time that he was sick, and as he was starting to get better, of course, this is like our Lord's boot camp when you get sick or when he grinds you. I mean, yours was more of like a social crucifixion where...
Oh, it got physical. Yeah. I was ready to kill myself. It got so bad.
Well, there you go.
I was ready to check out.
And this is how our Lord prepares you for, you want to do battle. So you go to boot camp, but then he in 2011 he predicted that he heard a voice when he was watching a TV show and Donald Trump was on. The Lord said, "You are hearing the voice of a president." So he began to get.
And that was what year again?
2011.
Okay.
So he thought Trump was going to run in 2012, but he didn't. And he ran in 2016, but our Lord said to Mark, he said, "Mark, the people needed 4 more years of Obama in order to, I mean, this is our Lord, right? In order to wake up.
Look, you think it sucks now. Just wait. 2015's really going to suck. Okay.
And so that's how it worked.
You want pain? Here it comes.
But our Lord didn't tell him that until after the fact, because he thought, am I going crazy? Or, was he had a next false expectation?
Well, if you don't think you're crazy, you are.
Is that right?
Yeah. Well,
what are you being drawn into a different?
If you got this kind of crap going on around you, and with you,
that's your job,
right? And if you don't question your own sanity, you're crazy.
So it forces you to.
Well, it has to be your first check. If you're sane, you're going to say, "What the hell's wrong with me?"
So to diverse just a second before we read this thing, I want to ask you a question. You saw a beautiful miracle because when you were you said, well, Lord, you got to show me something. And all of a sudden he shows you a white cross.
When I challenged him, I said, yeah.
But you even knowing that God was, this is something,
mm-hmm.
that as you began to get attacked,
mm-hmm.
you still withdrew into a very dark place.
Because
how does that happen?
Well, because everything that was light around you had been kind of shut off because people wouldn't talk to you. Because one of the first things that people who are supposed to be there to help you want to determine is that, this person's crazy. It's the first determination. Like when you try to go to a priest or the church or somebody.
What you did. I know what you did.
I tried going to get help, and they just wanted to judge me and say, you're crazy. Why would they be wanting you when they already had me? And I said, well, maybe they needed me. They already had you. And that pissed them off.
So it can work on you to the point where you just want to check out?
Well, because they start throwing stones at you and looking at you like you're the broken piece of the puzzle, when actually they're the ones who haven't matured and grown to realize, the truth about things we were talking about with the abortion, things with younger people. When they'd have an abortion, that they're going to have problems later on in life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think the same thing happens with a lot of your religious people in authority. The first thing you want to do if somebody comes along with something that's counter to their knowledge or their training or instruction,
they want to squash them.
They want to squash them and call them crazy. It's just like they did with the little girl in Lourdes, Laborious.
They were brutal.
Oh, they were terrible to that girl and her mother. They basically called her a little lying bitch, for the longest time. And the mother basically then had to go to the girl and say, just tell them you're lying. Just tell them it's all a lie, so that the mother could get her life back because they were ostracized.
So
all she did was tell the truth.
Let me ask you, so at what point in your life did you know that you were being lifted up out of this darkness? At what point did you say, I'm going to live and I'm going to fight this thing?
It's when I realized when I had the gun in my hand.
Ella. Barashka.
Well, I was ready to go, and I realized and I was saying to my brother and my dad, "Hey, I'll be with you guys in a little bit. Hold a place for me." Then I realized, no, I won't. If I kill myself, that's not going to work. And then I realized, because everyone had been telling me at that point, this is in 2012, everyone had been telling me, just roll over, just sign the damn paper and get out of the lawsuits. Just give them what the fuck they want and just be done with it, because they're not going to let you go until you give them what they want.
Right.
And so I was being pushed by not just the people around me, but people in the church or other legal advisors or somebody like that says, what's the difference? Who cares about this devotion? Nobody. And I said, but it's not the truth.
Yeah, I've said that at times. You've heard me say that. I'm in a little, lying down in bed and not wanting to.
Well, that's what I said. You got to write. You got to get the words out. But it was at that moment when I thought that I'd lost everything. And everyone says, you've lost everything. They've, you've lost your wife. You lost your home. You lost everything. What have you done to yourself? This is what I was told.
Did you physically have the gun?
Oh, yeah.
Where?
In my hand.
But you didn't, did you?
Well, I was just looking at it.
Okay, you're
I hadn't yet
trying to make a
determined
decision.
It was going to go right here, though.
Allah.
I mean, that's sure. But I realized in that moment that I would not be joining my dad and my brother. You know, that moment of clarity came. And I threw the gun away, and I got mad. I got really mad at the devil, and I got angry with myself for letting the devil get that. Yeah. But when you're in that frame and everyone around you is saying, you know, you screwed up, you threw it all away, you know, you've ruined your life, you know, you've hurt other people and all like that, it's a lie. You know, just tell them, just sign the damn paper, you know, which would have been saying it was all a lie.
Yeah, you're not that kind of a
Well,
person.
and so, but it was in that moment I realized, even though they'd taken away all of my possessions, they'd taken away my relationships, they'd taken away all of that, I still had one thing remaining.
What?
My free will. They can't take away your free will. Your free will, nobody can take away your free will. You have to give it away.
Yeah, you weren't groveling at that court during the court hearing.
Oh, hell no!
You weren't depressed at that point.
Well, I was pissed. I was pissed off. I was pissed off, and they made a big mistake. They brought an injured lion into the courtroom, and an injured lion doesn't care.
Yeah,
it's going to kill everything around it.
Well, what are they going to take from you? You've already lost it.
And this is where they made the big mistake: is they let me in there, and I had the power and the position as being another attorney, even though I wasn't. So that's a very, very liberating thing when you go into a federal courtroom as a pro se defendant, defending yourself, because it scares the hell out of the judge. It scares the hell out of the prosecutor.
You were apologizing. You told the judge, I don't have any money to hire anybody for this thing. I got to do it myself.
No, I mean, the other guys spent $6 million defending themselves and not a dime on me. And it was because of their actions that I got drugged into the court case in the first place. You would think.
Right. They would help you out.
If you fuck somebody's life up, you would think.
Give you $2. Here's $2 for the parking spot.
So a bishop and two guys drugged me into this damn court case, and not a single one of them ever said, I'm sorry.
Unreal, yeah.
You know, what a bunch of jackos.
Well, that's why the church is in the condition it's in.
Oh, yeah. No one's got any balls. I mean, this woman, this buddy, Episcopalian preacher out in D.C. that gave it to Trump on Inauguration Day.
Oh, yeah.
She's got more balls than most of these bishops.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, even though she was half-baked.
Yeah, a little 100-pound lesbian woman's got bigger balls than they did.
At least she got up there and did it, right?
Well, it was
not that we like what she was saying.
Well, it was pretty stupid. It was pretty self-aggrandizing. I don't think it's going to help her, but with a small segment. But the thing that I realized, what made me powerful in that regard, was that I realized the choice was mine. Free will. Free will is, I realized I still had a choice.
And when you decided I'm going to live.
No, I said I'm going to fight. And I can't fight if I'm dead.
Okay. All right. Okay. That
and
makes
so
sense,
I started fighting back against everyone. I had 4 cases against me at that time. I won them all.
Yeah, okay.
Because I fought back. You know, and I fought hard.
Well, this is what we're talking about is getting up and fighting back and joining this crusade, if you will. Let's read this and get your perspective on it. So Mark Taylor in 10/7 of 2015. This is either before or while Trump may have even announced that he's going to be the president, but this is what he got. It says his America, America. The Spirit of God says, America, America. Oh, how I love thee. America, America. Oh, how I have chosen thee. For as in England was to the D-Day invasion, so shall America be for my end-time harvest. For England was the headquarters of the hub for which the D-Day assault was launched, so shall America for the end-time harvest. For as England had men and women, equipment and food and money, weapons, supplies of all kinds, and poured in from all over the world, so shall these things pour into America. America have chosen you as a launching platform for the worldwide assault on the spirituality oppressed people of the earth. People will say, how are we chosen? It's as if America is frozen. And God says, am I not God of the universe, of all creation? I have heard the cries of my people that have sought my face, and I will heal their nation. People will ask, how will I do this? I shall do this in two parts. The first part, the Spirit of God says, the army of God out of the darkness command you to arise and to take your place, for I have given you extra time, mercy, and grace. Go and do not slow down. Begin to take hold of your ground, and for there and no more time to waste. America will once again be the great light. The enemy will say, oh, the light, it shines so bright. There is nothing else left to do but to take flight, and indeed they will. The sign will be a mass exodus in the natural as well as the spiritual. In the second part, the Spirit says, the gatekeeper, the President of the United States is the spiritual gatekeeper. I have chosen this man, Donald Trump, and anointed him as the president for such a time as this. Can you not see this? For even in his name, Donald meaning world leader, spiritual connotation, faithful, Trump meaning to get the better of, to outrank or defeat someone or something, often in a highly public way. The man I have chosen will be a faithful world leader, and together with my army will defeat all of America's enemies in the spiritual and in the natural. You will see it manifested before your eyes. I will use this man to shut gates and doors and portholes that this past president has opened. He will open gates and doors and portholes this past president has shut. My army shall not be silenced. They will begin to see that he is the one I have chosen. This will begin to rally around him, and he will be covered in spiritual support. And as you gain ground, keep that ground. America is not frozen. 2015, Trump becomes the president during the 2016 and starts in 2017. And everybody rallied around him. A lot of the Protestants are patting him on the back and stuff. And he was to have two terms, and they thought it was going to be consecutive. The minute Trump didn't,
it's supposed to be.
Well, the minute Trump
the man's
didn't,
won 3 elections in a row. What do you want?
But he lost it because it was stolen. All right. Yeah. The minute that happened, a lot of his Protestant spiritual people thumbed their nose at him.
Yeah.
See, because it was supposed to be one after the next. And but it's the same thing. Our Lord told Mark, we had to wait 4 years more of Obama for the people to wake up and understand that this guy has got to get into the White House. So, and it's the same thing. Even though he lost that second term, I think it's more powerful.
Well, I think it was a great training experiment for him because, you know, you can see the difference between his first administration and the second one. You know, it's kind of funny. One of the TV guys, Greg Gutfeld, was talking about, you know, this guy's going to complete a 4-year term in 3 months.
Right.
You know,
yeah,
he'll get everything he needs to get done in 3 months.
You know what's amazing, Larry? Even the logistics of what he's doing is like mind-boggling.
The guy doesn't sleep. He sleeps like 3 or 4 hours at every 24 hours.
I understand that, but still to be this organized and, you know, I mean, this methodical, and I mean, this is...
He's using his business acumen and the way he goes about things. I always talk about, you know, God builds things. The devil destroys them.
Yeah, you mentioned
Donald Trump builds things. This is his nature.
You're right.
This is how he goes. He builds things. This beautiful idea he's got about taking over the Gaza Strip, you know, it just makes sense.
He seems to be almost like, this whole idea of wanting Greenland as a state.
But it makes sense.
Think about it. How would a guy even think about that when he's got all this other stuff surrounding him?
He's looking at the logistics, how the world is changing around us. You know, they're talking about, you know, the climate change and all like that. Well, what's happening with this climate change and the warming is going on is the passages across the global and the northern polar.
People going to have ships?
Well, the ships can get through now because the ice is melting. And so that's a quicker lane of traffic for China to get to Europe.
Where does he get this sense of wisdom to understand something?
He looks at a freaking map. You know, you look at the map and you say, how are these guys getting through? You know, you look at things from a 30,000-foot view, not from down here.
Okay.
You know, so he's looking at things in a macro sense, not a micro sense. And so, but he also listens to other people who are wise about this. He says China's getting influence in coming through this northern area up
Okay.
here. China was going to be taking over the Panama Canal.
Oh.
And Trump stopped that.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
a lot. I mean, that's
That was another
weird.
dumbass
There-
move by Jimmy Carter.
But, you know, being attacked as much as he has been, to still be able to conduct war like a general.
Okay. Remember my moment with the gun?
Yeah.
Realizing I had a choice?
Yes.
Donald Trump had that moment.
He was either going to shoot like a star or he was going to.
No, he realized I gotta change this, and I've got to fight.
Okay.
And that's when he got up from the bullet in the ear.
Right.
Okay, and he came up a different man, and I think a lot of that has to do with the mother in him and the mother with him, and that being Melania.
Right.